Hi, my name is Maddie, and my project is over phonemic awareness, and this is from Chapter 4 of Reach All Readers. Let's start off with what is phonemic awareness. So, according to the University of Florida Literacy Institute, or UFLI, phonemic awareness is the ability to notice and manipulate individual sounds in spoken language. It's essential for building decoding skills, and it's also essential for learning to read the print in any alphabetic writing system. Phonemic awareness and early literacy development. So, phonemic awareness facilitates growth in printed word recognition through explicit instruction. It also helps create awareness in speech sounds, aka those phonemes, knowledge of letter names, phoneme-grapheme correspondence, or that letter-sound relationship, as well as vocabulary. So accuracy on phonemic awareness screeners gives strong indication of a student's reading success by the end of third grade and beyond. An example of one of these phonemic awareness screeners is the PASS test. These screeners measure awareness of speech sounds and words, knowledge of letter names, knowledge of phoneme-grapheme correspondence, and vocabulary. Research shows at least 80% of poor or struggling readers demonstrate weakness in phonological awareness, which is a group of skills related to the ability to recognize the parts of spoken words, as well as phonological memory. Explicit phonemic awareness instruction helps alleviate spelling and reading struggles and gaps by providing the strategies to attend to unfamiliar words, pronouncing all the sounds and words correctly, retaining words in their vocabulary, aka encoding, which is very important to teach because if you read a word, you rent it. If you spell a word, you own it. So it helps solidify those words in their brain. And it also helps decipher between two similar words with different meanings. So think of the word bat. It can mean an animal or it can mean a baseball bat. And then I also threw in here an image from the Long Island Speech and Myofunctional Therapy Clinic because I thought it was a good representation of how phonemic awareness is at the bottom. It serves as one of those foundational skills in early elementary grades, which really shows the importance of explicit phonemic awareness instruction in these grade levels as it's such a critical and foundational skill. Research-based strategies. Research shows beginning readers need to master many skills to become proficient in reading. These skills are divided into 3 domains: alphabetics, reading fluency, and reading comprehension. Alphabetics is the ability to identify and manipulate units of oral language, identify letters, and apply an understanding of letter-sound relationships to correctly pronounce written words. Skills to target in this domain or area include letter naming fluency, phoneme segmentation, nonsense word fluency, and word identification. So as you can see, I did bold this domain just because I felt that it tied closely with the phonemic awareness piece because it has that identify and manipulate units of oral language or those phonemes, and it also has the letter sound relationship piece to it, so I felt that it related most to phonemic awareness, but I'm still going to talk about the other domains. So the next domain is reading fluency. This is the ability to read text accurately, automatically, and with expression, including appropriate pauses and response to punctuation, while gaining meaning at the same time. So for this domain, you should focus on oral reading fluency skills. The last domain is reading comprehension, which is the ability to understand the meaning of text, including the ability to decode words, understand word meanings, and interpret language. So skills to target or focus on with this domain include vocabulary and oral language, as well as passage comprehension. Next, I'm going to talk about some research-based strategies or tools. So the first one is letter tiles, which can help with phonemic awareness because it's a way for students to switch out those tiles or those sounds and get used to that substitution or deletion of phonemes. and it allows them to play around and make new words. And it also gives them the opportunity to work with those letters, which helps strengthen that letter sound correspondence, which ties to that alphabetics domain. And then another one that I personally like because I've used it a lot in the past is Elkonin boxes or sound boxes, because you can use them for so many different things. You can use them for phoneme deletion, segmentation, substitution, and they're so versatile. You can use them for CVC words, all different skills, and I just find that they work well with chips or manipulatives if you want to incorporate that multisensory piece, and I just find them to be very effective and students love them. Another strategy or tool is an alphabet chart with visuals. So with this, you would point to a letter on a chart and ask students to think of words that start with that sound or letter. So this is a good way to, as you're introducing different letters and sounds, you would use this alphabet chart. So you might use this more in kindergarten. And then you would also pair it with picture cards to help have those visuals to connect those words in their brain. And you can also have the visuals directly on the chart. I just think it's nice to also have a sound card with a visual on it. And then the last tool is clapping out syllables. This one you would want to model first, and it would have a lot of preloading with that explicit instruction of syllables. But it's a good tool to help students count the syllables in words and just have a physical way to determine how many syllables are in a word. Purposeful planning. According to an article by 95% Group, in 2001, the National Reading Panel reported that there are 5 essential components of literacy instruction. These components are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. It's important to build all of these components into your instruction and plan for all of these components as well to make your literacy instruction as effective as possible. To support English language learners, it's important to incorporate multicultural literature and recognize and value the students' experiences and heritage. You should also build upon their background knowledge and connect new learning to your students' prior knowledge. With English language learning students, it's important to focus on oral language skills through explicit instruction in vocabulary, phonemic awareness, and comprehension strategies. To support neurodivergent learners, positive reinforcement is crucial, and it's also important to have clear, consistent routines and instruction. So with that phonemic awareness piece, having that consistent and routine-like phonemic awareness instruction is super important. You should also incorporate multisensory pieces into your instruction, so plan to incorporate visual aids, hands-on activities, and auditory support to enhance engagement and boost comprehension of instruction and content for these learners. You should also plan to use screening assessments frequently and adjust your instruction accordingly based off the results. You should also always plan differentiation strategies, whether that's graphic organizers or manipulatives, for both English language learners and neurodivergent learners, but also just for any students that may need more of a challenge or may need some of that scaffolding. It's also important to plan based on evidence-aligned instruction rooted in the science of reading. If you're unfamiliar with the science of reading, it's a formula that highlights word recognition and language comprehension as the key components needed for proper reading comprehension and overall reading success and achievement. So planning based on this science of reading formula is crucial, and also having those screening assessments to look for, are they struggling in language comprehension or word recognition, can really help inform your instruction. Information to colleagues. So this is all pulled from a resource by Lesley University called 6 Principles to Boost Student Literacy, and I just thought this was a great resource with tons of insight that I want to share with everyone. So the first principle is to establish a culture that supports literacy. So this means getting to know your students' interests and social/cultural experiences, hold high expectations, and believe that every student is a reader and will be a successful reader. Show students how valuable books are by sharing ideas and working together to construct meaning. So, whether that be you talking about books more or doing a think aloud or talking more about books that you're reading. Also, highlighting vocabulary and making it a staple in your classroom and a consistent thing is really crucial for supporting that literacy. The second principle is to explicitly teach skills. So these skills are phonemic awareness, phonics, and fluency, which are the foundations for proficiency in reading. The end game is the application of skills to connected text. So you don't want to be teaching these skills in isolation. The whole purpose of it is to apply that in their reading. The third principle is create a compelling classroom library. So use the interest that you gathered before from the first principle, which is to get to know your students' interest. So use that to collect books that will appeal to those students. Also, allow your students choice in what books they want to read and don't restrict them based off their reading level. It also helps to sort the books according to genre, interests, categories, authors, and reading level just to help them navigate and find books that are fit for them. The fourth principle is to confer with students individually. So meet with students, pull them anytime that you can to listen to them read one-on-one. This will help you notice patterns and errors, and you can use it as a form of formative assessment because you're listening for any maybe gaps or things that they're good at. You really want to just have that one-on-one time to really be able to assess them individually. The fifth principle is to talk about books. Share books that you think they will like. And the article mentioned like the idea of a book talk. So just sharing books and putting it up and making it accessible to them. Also, arrange for book clubs. So have students read the same book and meet. And this discussion will help them build deeper comprehension as a result of sharing their thoughts, reactions, and questions to the book. The sixth principle is to write about books. So have students write in a response journal about their reading. Writing has been shown to be the highest form of understanding or comprehension of something. So this is a great way for students to show their understanding of the books, and you can also use this as a form of formative assessment as well. To sum it all up, phonemic awareness instruction is essential. It's so important to make the time for phonemic awareness instruction in your literacy instruction as a whole because it is so crucial, especially in those earlier grades, but for all grades as well. Also, choosing the correct tools and strategies can make instruction way more effective. I mentioned, I think, 4 of them, but there's so many more out there that are backed by research that are really good for literacy instruction, and they're also very engaging for students. There's so many that will help boost engagement in your classroom. And lastly, planning with a purpose and a goal is crucial. It's so important to know why you're planning, like what your instruction is for, and also planning with all students in mind. I hope you learned a little something about phonemic awareness or just literacy instruction in general from my project, and thank you for listening.